Hello and welcome to the award-winning Bowie Youth Showcase. I am your host, Jazmya Nicholson. Thank you for tuning in. Today is a test for our youth, so parents listen up. Bowie Youth Showcase will be right back to explain. Hello and welcome to the Bowie Youth Showcase. Thank you for tuning in. Mrs. Denise McKinney will read a short book about Dr. Martin Luther King, and the kids will ask some questions. Ms. Denise McKinney is a commissioner with the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service in the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR, and International Services. In addition to her 30 years of government service, she currently is the president of the Martin Luther King Jr. Commemoration Committee of Bowie. Mrs. McKinney is a graduate of the University of Maryland College Park with a Bachelor of Science in Speech Communication. She holds a Master of Science in Instructional Systems Technology and is a graduate of the Training Development Program at Georgetown University. She also is a former college instructor. Ms. McKinney brings interactive approach to training and believes that learning can be fun and that learning is a lifetime activity. In our news segment today is questions for freshmen, followed by Erika Ferguson. Segment, what do they know about social media? Is social media helping or hurting our future generation? Find out when Erika talks to a group of children about their point of view on social media. Thank you, Ms. McKinney, for joining us today on Bowie Youth Showcase.
Thank you, Jasmine, and welcome, children. Today we're going to learn a little bit more about Martin Luther King. How many of you have heard of him? Okay. The book that I'm going to read today is called Martin's Big Words, and it was written by Doreen Rappaport. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw signs that said, white only. Do you know what that means?
Only,
Go ahead.
only white people could only go in his.
Right. There were certain places that only white people could go and black people could not go. His mother said that these signs were all in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, it made him feel bad until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns, he read from the Bible, he listened to his father preach. These words made him feel really good. So he thought, when I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Martin grew up, he became a minister like his father, and he used big words that he heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when other people said hate. Martin also said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. He said, together, when others say separate, he said peace. When others said war, he said peace. He also said, sooner or later, all of the people of the world will have to discover a way to all live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat so that he could sit down on the bus. She said no, and she was arrested and taken to jail. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest, and it made them very, very angry. So they decided not to ride the buses until they could sit wherever they wanted. For 381 days, they walked to work, to school, and to church. They walked in the rain and the cold and in the blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree that they could sit anywhere that they wanted to on the bus. And he said, "When the history books are written, someone will say, there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights." In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told him to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges told him to stop, but they kept on marching. And they said, "Wait. For years I've heard the word, wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights." They were put in jail and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists, but Martin Luther King Jr. convinced them not to, reminding them of the power of love. And he said, "Love is the key to the problems of the world." Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. And he said, "Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped, because God is with this movement." The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams with them, with hope and with love. And he said, "I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers." After 10 years of protest, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. And segregation meant that white people could not sit with black people. So they voted to end that. The whites-only sign was taken down in the South. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words and not their fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them, sang with them, and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot and he died. His big words are alive with us today. Freedom, peace, togetherness, love, and I have a dream. So what did you think about the story? Okay, what do you think about it?
It was very good, and he did a lot of good stuff.
It was very good, and he did a lot of good stuff? Absolutely. So, Martin Luther King did not fight with his fist. Do you remember what he fought with? What did he fight with? He fought with his words. And a lot of people did not agree with him. But Martin Luther King will always be remembered as a man of peace. Does anybody remember the prize that he won for being peaceful? What was the prize?
He got to be nice to other people.
That's true. He got to be nice to other people. But the prize that he won, because of all of the peaceful work he did, was called the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay? Does anybody else have a question? No one else? Well, I certainly hope that you remember all of the good things that Martin Luther King did, and that you can remember also to use words and not fists. So I thank you very much for all of your time and all of your attention. And you all have been very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKinney, for joining us today on Bowie Youth Showcase. Next is Bowie Youth Showcase News with Justice, Julian, and Christian.
Hello, and welcome to the Bowie Showcase News. I'm your host, Christian Jenkins, and I'm here with
Justice Flora and Julian Thomas.
And today we are going to talk about today our segment is about questions for freshmen for incoming ninth graders. So to start off today, we have a few questions that we interview people for incoming freshmen, and these are their questions. So the first question is, what is a normal day of high school like?
Well, a normal day of high school is pretty hefty. You have to go around the school building, collect work, get your classes done. Many tests and quizzes that you have to do. Also, taking notes and taking initiative to get your work done.
That's very important, I think, as an incoming freshman. Secondly, a well-requested question, is there a lot of bullying in high school?
From the people that I actually asked about that question, a lot of them haven't experienced bullying, but there is some bullying that goes on. It's just a matter of being aware of your surroundings when you're in high school, making sure you have the right group of friends, and if you ever feel like you're getting bullied or you see someone getting bullied, just speak up, and you can prevent any type of bullying situation from happening.
Well, I think a lot of incoming freshmen will be prepared for that based off your answer. So what is the cafeteria food like in high school?
A lot of people will probably think that the cafeteria food is pretty nasty, but from the actual people that I've talked to, they said the cafeteria food is pretty decent. So don't expect something, it's like slob or anything terrible. It's pretty decent from what I've heard.
And probably the most requested question from the incoming ninth graders, is there a lot of homework?
Personally, I get a lot of homework. Some people do say so that teachers give them a little bit of a break. It depends on really who you have. For me personally, I have a lot of homework, but it varies from class to class.
Well, I think that'll prepare incoming freshmen like myself to be fully prepared for next school year. Now to my friend over here, what is the high school experience like for you in your opinion?
Well, the high school experience for me is waking up every day, 6 o'clock, doing the same repetition, meeting new people, making new friends, going to my classes, which I all enjoy, and basically broadening my information on what type of skills I want to learn or what I want to do in the future.
Based off that, would you say high school is very different from middle school?
It is, because in high school you have a lot more opportunities to excel, and you also have a lot more opportunities to fail. But when you have a good support group around you, like parents and faculty members and tutors, counselors, and many other people around you, you'll be fine.
That's great advice. I'll make sure I use that, definitely. Now, we talked about bullying earlier, and in high school, I'm pretty sure everybody has a phone or some type of electronic device.
Right.
Is bullying a major issue in school or on social media? And if so, do adults or anybody take action to try and prevent it from happening?
Bullying can be a day-to-day issue, so one day bullying could be an extreme problem in a school, and the next day it couldn't be at all. But cyberbullying is what you have to be aware of. That's the main focus, and joning as well. That's another key focus of bullying.
Joning. I know a lot of us have experience with joning, definitely.
We have.
Now, on to a very tough topic, school shootings. There's been a lot of school shootings in the past recent times in our current lives, and they've all seemed to not been a part of any terrorist groups or anything like that. How might you detect if there was a school shooter or a potential school shooter in your school?
Well, a potential school shooter, I don't know about any previous experience, luckily, and my condolences to anybody who has, but there are warning signs, like if that student always sectioning themselves away from the rest of the class, or if they research a lot of information about previous school-related incidents or even gun-related incidences outside of the school, or just their overall demeanor, such as like how they talk or how they portray themselves, how they dress, then you have a pretty clear idea.
That's great information, great information. And like he said before, condolences to anybody who's gone through a school shooting. Thankfully, I've never been in one, or we've never been in one. But today that wraps up our showcase on Question for Freshmen. And we are your hosts, Christian Jenkins,
Justice Flora,
And Julian Thomas.
See you next time.
Thank you, Justice Julian and Christian, for a great segment. Let's welcome Erika Ferguson. Her segment is, What Do They Know About Social Media? And I will also be joining this discussion.
Hi. As we all know, social media is a big part of our everyday routine. So I just want to talk to some great people about how social media is hurting or helping our generations. And what better way to do that and talk to the future generation and the current generation of right now. So I guess, ladies, my first question is, why do you like social media and why? Ajay, I'm gonna start with you.
I like social media because it's like a world that I can get away from, and I can like explore, like I can see like what everybody's doing, and it just like a distraction from like my normal life.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Sophia?
I do like social media, but at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of negatives that make me not like it. But overall, I say yeah, because it can help build people's confidence about themselves.
But the big part is you don't have a social media. So let's talk about that and how you feel about that.
Well, I don't really have an issue with not having the social media.
And why?
I know that social media can be a big distraction, and that there, once again, the negatives of having social media, there can be bullying and other things. And I'm personally a shy person, so I'm not really compelled to have social media.
Okay. And what about you?
I'm in your generation, and we kind of grew up on the MySpace, the Facebook. I enjoy it. It allows you to express yourself in a way that you might not be able to in your real life. So I do enjoy it, but like Sophia said, it does have its negatives. There can be bullying. There can be a lot of extra. There can be, some negativity. So it just, it depends on, I think it depends on how you post and who posts back.
And your insight on it, like how you all take it in and how you perceive it. Because I believe, for me, I got off social media for a long time because it was starting to make me feel insecure. So I didn't struggle with it, but it made me, feel like, okay, if I see this girl post, oh, this is her real life, or it's not her real life, or anything like that. And you have to keep in mind that these are just photos, but what everybody has to have, like, the latest theme and the latest thing, so you might feel like you have to, keep up, and like you said, the distractions of wanting to see what's new and what's going on and all of that. So I guess I do like it, but I don't like it because you have to have a big point of view about it and know how to take it. And I guess that brings me to my next subject. How do you feel when you go on social media? Do you have any like self-esteem issues, or do you look at it in a positive insight?
I don't really have no social esteem, but sometimes like when some people like post some and it's like a negative way and just like, why do you post it? Like, why is that for? Then it's like what's going on? Cause like it's like a lot of bullying out here between social media in school. So like if somebody bullying at school, they'll bring in social media, and like if that person see it, they'll feel very down. And yeah, it's like it's okay.
What do you, when you see that, and I guess in your generation going to school, and they're bullying, like do you help uplift that person, or do you talk to them, or are they kind of standoffish?
Like I like talk to them and make sure they're okay, make sure they don't do nothing, make sure like let the principal know, like make sure like they find a person where it's coming from, and yeah.
Okay. And as far as like social media bullying, since you don't have that, no, that's a good. I'm like you. Because why can't you have a social media?
Well, my mom, it's not she feels like it's not necessarily safe. It's not necessary. It causes distractions, and then I'm just not old enough. And then I've never really asked for it. I've just always accepted that I couldn't have it. So
I have a daughter, and like my daughter will not have social media until she's 16. So don't feel bad about it. It's just scary, you know, and for mothers and, you know, kids as well. So you have to be very safe, you know, using that. And as far as you, Jasmine, how do you feel when you go on? Do you have like any like self-esteem issues when, no?
No.
Oh, okay,
I was going to say what you said earlier, like you see the perfect girl or whoever, like you just got to keep in mind that it's a picture, like they could have put on a smile for, you know, everything may not be what nothing is ever what it seems. I feel like a lot of times with the social media, because you know, you see people posted up all happy, they could be behind the scenes upset, you know, feeling down. So you gotta take it for what it's like, take it with a grain of salt, and just use it for what it's worth, like keeping in contact with people that you may know or you may not know, or maybe acquaintances. Like you gotta keep it all in perspective. Because at the end of the day, like it's fun, but it's not necessary and it's not that big a deal.
I think that I agree with you, but then I think it is a big deal. I think that, you know, so many of our young generations are actually dying, you know, from social media and committing suicides, and, you know, and I'm not going to say social media had anything to do with it, but I read since 2009, it's been 288 school shootings. And with that being said, I think I'm not saying all, but some, I'm pretty sure at least 15 or 20% stem from social media. So it's like you have to, some people don't have the same confidence as you, like far as me, you know what I mean? I have a different confidence than you. I had to build up that confidence, and some people are not strong enough to build up that confidence.
To be there
so, you know, with you guys going to school every day and like actually being inside of school, and school is very hard, and just dealing with the social media or not having it, maybe like being fun of, I just want to know, like, do you think it's helping you guys' generation or hurting it?
Hurting it, like a little. Like, it's like, I don't really know how to explain it.
Well, try. Like, what everyday like basis are you? I mean, what everyday are you faced with that you feel like is hurting it?
Mainly like people just letting other people down.
Letting people down,
yeah.
And their self-esteem gets let down because they feel like they're not good enough, and you know, and that's why I think they need more, like, I guess like teachers to teach almost. You know what I mean? Do you agree with that? Like teach them, you know, self-esteem, you know, build up, or like, what's the word I'm looking for? teamwork, you know, do different programs or seminars or something where kids can come in and play out roles and see how you don't like how they're feeling, or, you know, maybe tag team with the person that you wouldn't hang out with, or, you know, just to build some of that up. So are you faced with anything like in your school with, you know, social media, or you know, how does that play with your everyday life?
Well, we recently had a phone ban at our school, so we don't hear a lot about social media, because last year we were allowed to have our phones just, you know, not during classes, but in the hallways, at lunch, that was totally allowed. iPads, tablets, that was DSs, that was allowed. But now, because of recent issues that actually did have to do with social media, it caused a phone ban, electronics ban actually. And I feel like social media is definitely hurting, because one thing that my mom always talks about is like having human connection. And social media is sort of hurting that, because we're all so into our phone screens that we start forgetting that there's other people around us who could be potential friends, and lifelong friends at that. So.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So I guess we can sum it up, you know, and talk to you, and how do you, you know, feel about, I mean, I know you weren't in school, but how did you feel when we were in school dealing with that era, since like we started that era, I believe?
I feel like we did. We definitely did. It's different because I don't remember it being like that back in the day. I don't remember the bullying. I don't remember the hatred. I don't remember any of that. Like, it was just a good time, you know. You log on. We had our HTML coding on MySpace, and we did our, you know, we did what we did, and we got off and lived our lives. We still were playing outside and all kind of stuff, and they just don't do that in this generation. So it's a little different. Like, I don't know if it's helping or hurting. I think it's more of an individual type basis. Like, while it may hurt somebody, it may help somebody else. So we just have to, you know, be cognizant of that, and try to keep the confidence level up.
Yeah. Well, guys, I guess maybe we didn't find out the answer today, or I guess you have your own answer, and look inside yourself and find out if social media is really hurting or helping you. Or parents, find out and talk to your kids. It's been a pleasure being on the show. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Erika, for this important subject today. What do they know about social media? And thank you, Ms. Denise McKinney, for your unique style of teaching. And thank you to our Boo You Showcase news guys, Justice, Julian, and Christian, for sharing your high school experience with all of our youth. And once again, thank you, Erika Ferguson, for touching down on the social media subject. We wish you success in all your future endeavors. Thank you, and thank all of our guests that took the time to come out and share this important information with our youth on Boo You Showcase. We here at Boo You Showcase would like to send thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in every week. Boo You Showcase is here to educate, motivate, inspire, and uplift all of our youth. Until next time, I am Jazmya Nicholson.
Hey, Fluffy!
you wouldn't allow any of these other risks in your home. Why allow an unlocked gun?